Hare Krishna, everyone. So we will see what we did yesterday in chapter 14. We had 3 modes. We discussed about the 3 modes. What are those 3 modes? Anyone wants to tell me what the 3 modes are? You can unmute
Goodness,
yourself.
goodness, passion,
and ignorance. Very
ignorance.
Nice. Very nice. Recognizing a mode supremacy, goodness, passion, and ignorance. When you are in mode of goodness, how is it? You are having clear thoughts, clarity. When you are in mode of passion, you have anxiety. And when you are in mode of ignorance, you feel deluded. Then we come to next one. It is acting and dying within the modes. So when you die in mode of goodness, where do you go? Anyone?
Goodness, heavenly planets.
Heavenly planets. When you die in mode of passion, where do you go? Earthly planets. If you die in the mode of ignorance, where do you go? Hellish planets. Very good. Now, transcending mode. What are the symptoms of who has transcended the modes? Is equipoised. Yes. Anyone wants to say?
Detachment, equipoised. Like it doesn't matter honor or dishonor.
Yeah.
He's
neutral. He does not envy anything. Very nice. What is his behavior? He is steady. He is steady. Whether you are praising him, you are blaming him.
Balanced.
Yeah, balanced. Very nice. He deals with everything and everyone equally, and he surrenders to Krishna. He goes about doing his spiritual practices, and he strives for human welfare. He goes beyond himself, looks around and sees how he can help the human society. How to transcend? What is the way?
Detachment from the
overcome all
material
this?
world.
Surrender to Lord completely. Bhakti. We'll have to engage ourselves in devotional service.
Yes.
Through the only way out.
Very nice. Yes, correct. Through bhakti, we have to surrender to Krishna and do all kinds of devotional service. Okay, so we move on to chapter 15. You have passed chapter 14 now. Chapter 15 is Purushottama Yoga, the yoga of Supreme Person. Purush Uttama. Purush Uttama. Uttama Purush. Krishna is Uttama Purush. So Lord Krishna in chapter 14, he had enlightened Arjuna that by transcending the 3 gunas, the modes of material nature, you can achieve the divine goal. He said last chapter, we just revised, right? And then he declared that if you engage in exclusive devotion, that is the best means to overcome the modes of material nature. And such devotion, how is it practiced? You have to detach your mind from the world and attach your mind to Krishna. In this chapter, Krishna speaks all 20 shlokas. There are total 20 shlokas, and all the 20 shlokas are spoken by Krishna. And he is explaining the material world in detail, graphically, in graphic form. He will show picture and he will make us imagine this in graphically, so that Arjuna can understand its nature, and then he can slowly develop detachment from it. So Lord Krishna speaks about it. He says, you have to try to move out from this material world to spiritual world. How? By detachment, and you have to surrender yourself. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna about his position as that I am the supreme controller, I am the maintainer of the world. And he gives the summary of what is Vedanta and Vedas, Vedakrit and Vedavit he was going to talk about. And then what is the essence of knowing Krishna and to seek his shelter. This is what we are going to talk in this chapter. Let's begin. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Urdhva Mulamadhashakham Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chamdansi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit. The Supreme Personality, Alpa Mataji, you wanted to read.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas.
So this is Lord Krishna is comparing What is he comparing with? He's comparing this world, this material world, to an upside down Ashwatha tree. Ashwatha is like a sacred fig tree. So this tree that we are seeing is like a sacred fig tree, and he is comparing the material world to an upside down tree. What is he saying? He's saying that the entanglement of this material world, it is being compared to this banyan tree. Banyan, or it's sacred fig tree, they are all of same family. Urdhva Mula. Mula means root, and Urdhva means above. So the roots are above. Urdhva Mula Madashakam. Shakam means Shakha. Shakha means branch. Mula means down. So the branches are down, the roots are up. You look at the reflection here. That this is actually the material world, and we don't even know that it is how we are hanging upside down. We don't even understand that. So the roots are above. So he's saying Urdhva Mula Madashakam. The branches are down. So the branches are down means what? Of the banyan tree. The tree of this material world, it's a reflection of the spiritual world. Spiritual world is this. Real tree is the spiritual world actually. But this is the reflection of the material world, spiritual world, and the material world. It's the reflection. Just as tree's reflection is situated on water, the material reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire. Everything is based on desire. So no one knows where is the tree beginning from, where is the tree ending. Usually the banyan trees has long roots, and when the roots go down, it grows on, going on. It spreads acres together. It can go beneath the ground also. So that is why this fig tree, you can see how the roots also, it goes down. So and the twigs, what are the twigs here? The twigs are object of senses. You can see here. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to banyan tree. There is no end. You will keep on walking. So what will happen? You are wandering from one branch to the another. We are all walking on one branch to the. Why? Because we have no end to this fruitive desires. So we are walking on the branches. You see these branches? We are walking on this, on this mysterious tree. We are all embodied souls, right? We are all tied up. So we are wandering up and down from lifetime after lifetime. So he is saying, Chandamsi. Chandamsi means what? The Vedic hymns. Chand means hymns, right? Vedic hymns. So these are meant for what? To elevate ourselves. It's called the leaves of the tree. These leaves of the tree he's comparing it to Vedic hymns. So leaves are fruitive activities defined in Vedas. So if one wants to disentangle, you want to cut away, what to do? You have to cut with the weapon. What weapon? Do you want to use a knife or a gun? No, the weapon is called detachment. So you have to use the weapon of detachment. And then you have to seek the shelter of Krishna, Supreme Lord. So the tree of this material world, it has no end. And and the one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. If you are looking for liberation and you are into this tree, you are attached to it, then there is no possibility. The tree's roots, they grow upwards. They're growing upwards because they begin from where Brahma is located. You see Brahma is sitting on the roots. So from there it is going down, right? You can see in this picture also. There is Brahma, you can see it properly. He's sitting on the roots over here, and all the branches are going down. This you will understand the picture better. So you can see over here, this root, this reflection over here, this is the tree, and how Brahma is seated on that root, right? So what is that? How is it? The tree, Brahma is seated on it, and it is irrigated. The tree is like any plant, any tree, we pour water, right, in the roots. So this, what is being poured into is 3 modes of material nature: Satoguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. And the twigs, they are object of senses. So yeah, anybody said something? Okay. So it is growing. I'll just mute everyone. Gunashri Mataji, you can unmute Alpa Mataji. So the Brahma is located on the roots, topmost planet of the universe, right? If we can understand this tree of illusion, we can get out of it. The world is full of lookalikes. You can see like this here, everything has a duplicate. You have Gucci, the logo. This is the real Gucci logo, and that one is the fake Gucci logo. So we have to go to the real one, right? We don't want the fake world. We want the real world. And the real world is what? The spiritual world. Again, as I was showing you before, Brahma is seated over here. Krishna has used the metaphor of an upside down Ashwattham tree. This tree is having the roots in divine Brahma, and the trunk is growing downwards and the branches are spreading out. You can see the branches all spread out over here. This is just a metaphor to make us understand. On the branches of this mysterious tree, the embodied souls, we are all walking on the branches from lifetime to lifetime. Leaves again, they are called Veda mantras. And by understanding the mantra, once we understand that Veda mantra, we will cross the tree. Once we cross the tree through our consciousness, slowly we will move upwards through the branches, to the trunk, to the root. We will reach the root over here. Then we will find the divine, we'll find Brahma. Then we have to cross this river of desire. So the tree of knowledge is also the metaphor for our quest. What is our quest? What is our search? What are we searching for? Anyone? What are we actually searching for?
Moksha, liberation.
Yeah, we are searching for the divine. We are searching for Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. We want to go to Goloka Vrindavan. So this, when we cross this lake or river of desire, we move on, we reach Krishna. But to cut this is very tough. So let's see what happens. It's temporary. You want to live temporarily here, or you want to go to your permanent house? Adhashchordvam prasita tasya shakha guna pravriddha vishaya pravalaha adhashcha mulanyanu santatani karmanubandhini manushya-loke.
The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society.
Again, they are describing the banyan tree because they have used two shlokas here just to explain, three shlokas almost like to explain this to us. So description of banyan tree is further explained that the branches are spread in all directions. Lower parts, you go to lower parts over here of the branches, you will see all parts of, manifestations like not only human beings, you will see cat, dogs, cows, horses, everything. They are in the lower part of the branches. As you move higher up, upper part of the branches, you will see the other higher spiritual living entities like, the demigods, the Gandharvas, the saints, the sadhus. They're moving up the ladder, the branches. As you're going up, they move up. We have to move up and to reach Krishna. So as the tree is nourished by water, this tree, it is normally trees are nourished by water, but this tree is nourished by three modes of material nature. So what are those three modes? Mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Na rupamasye tathopalabhyate nanto na chadir na sampratishtha ashwattamenam suvirudhamulam asanga shastrena dhidena chitva tattah padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyah tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravrittif prasata purani.
The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this tree with the weapon of detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything has begun and in whom everything is abiding since time immemorial.
Since time immemorial it is there, right? Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely in his purpose, very clearly stated that the real form of banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. We cannot. We are entangled, right? We've been entangled with material expansions of the tree. One cannot even see how far the tree extends. We cannot see. We are so down in the branches that we cannot see up. We cannot see where the roots are. Nor can we see even the beginning of the tree. We are hanging upside down somewhere. So it has no end. Nanto na chade, nanto means what? There is no ant. There is no ant. And it is because it is unlimited. There is no beginning also, because it has no beginning. So if you do not have any beginning, what is the foundation? What is the support? Sampratishtha means the foundation. You can't find the foundation also. If you cannot find the beginning, you cannot find the end. You are hanging over there. So one cannot understand this, what it is. Because we lack knowledge. We don't have those vision. We don't have those eyes. We don't have those spiritual eyes. We have not reached. So what knowledge do we need? It is to ask how to free ourselves from this, how to free ourselves from this reflection. So what the answer comes is by understanding what our correct destination is. Where are we supposed to go? So what does that mean? It means we should know that this place is, for example, just living in a hotel, right? It's temporary. You go to hotels, you don't really, live their lifetime. You just live there for a while. So it's a temporary place. It's like a hotel. Where do we have to go? We have to go home. What is your home? Back to Godhead. We have to give up the lordship, the ownership over this material nature. We have to stop thinking that we own everything over here. It is all mine. That possessiveness needs to go away. We need to form detachment. If we understand that, if we get that knowledge of detachment, that detachment is the weapon. So no gun, no knife. Detachment is our weapon to cut down the tree. You can see the cutting down of the trunk over here. Symbolism. We need to cut the detachment, which is the only cause why we are all suffering here. And then it makes sense to cut down the tree with that detachment, right? The moment we understand that we are suffering over here in this world, then it makes sense. Okay, we should cut down with the detachment. Why? So that we can find out what is there at the base of the root. We want to go there. I want to see what is there at the root. Curiosity. Out of curiosity, out of whatever, out of devotion, for whatever reason, I want to go to the root of the tree to see what at the base of the tree. So the word asanga. Asanga means detachment. So you have to asanga over here. So asanga here means detachment and complete renunciation. What is the weapon here? Asanga detachment, cutting it down with shastrena. Asanga shastrena. Shastra means weapon. So we have to use the shastrena of detachment. We must separate ourselves from this material mode. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the original root from whom everything has come, everything has emanated. And to gain his favor, we can only surrender. How to surrender? Perform devotional service. What to do in that? Here, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, we did that other day, right? So we do hearing and chanting. This has already been explained by the Lord himself, right? In 10th chapter, what did he say? Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Said, I am the origin of everything. He said in 10th chapter. Now we are in 15th chapter. He told us in 10th chapter, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. Sarvasya, everything is, I am the origin. And to get out of the entanglement of the strong banyan tree of material life, we have to surrender to Krishna. And as soon as we surrender to Krishna, we become detached automatically. We need not think how to detach, We don't need to put in effort. We have to just surrender to Krishna. He will show us the way. So we will automatically be detached from this material extension, right? So we have to decide now. We have to choose a way. Do you want to choose God's way or our own way? God's way is the next exit, but our way, there is no exit from this cycle of birth and death. So we have to decide you don't want to exit at all, or this is God's way and let's go over there and exit. So that is what we need to decide. So Lord Krishna will describe this one. Anybody has any reflections to say about this? Any? No? God's way, my way, you want to go? Okay, Lord Krishna is going to describe as to how illuminated his abode is. And he asks us to go back to our original home, because this is a temporary place. It's like a hotel stay, as I told you before. You may have to pay the bill and then leave. So this is the spiritual world, eternal bliss. You get freedom from birth and death. And this, you have come to this earth here. This is material world, repeated birth and death and misery. So your choice, material world or spiritual world. Natat bhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama.
That abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this material world.
This is Krishna's abode. Lord Krishna is telling, mine is self-luminous. There is no need for any sun, moon, fire. Nothing is required to light it up as you need in your material realm. In material realm, it is made up of material energy by Maya. It is full of defects. It is full of dualities. You have heat, you have cold, you have sukh, dukh. Everything dualities are there. But in divine realm, it is created by Yoga Maya. What is Yoga Maya? Spiritual energy. It is both transcendental. It is perfect. It is also described as Sat Chit Ananda, full of bliss, full of knowledge, full of eternality. So Lord Krishna is assuring Arjuna that souls who attain him, they reside eternally with him in the supreme abode, which is perfect in every way. You don't have to do anything at all over there. So the devotees are completely free from this cycle of birth and death. So the lesson we get from here is, you know, like they say in fairy tales, when we were all young, we used to listen to fairy tales, right? There it was said, like, they lived happily ever after. This does not happen so much here, right? But that's there in the spiritual abode. Lived happily ever after in spiritual abode. So only spiritual world is a permanent abode. So what we need to do is look here in the picture, second picture, let's reach out to Krishna. Why? Because his abode is completely illuminated. You can see in the picture, you don't need any other stuff over here. It's already there. No need for sun, moon, electricity. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhutas sanatanaha manashasthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati.
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Mama means my. Ansha, Mamai Vamsha is Ansha. Ansha means you are my fragmental particle, children. He's saying, Jiva Loke, in this world of conditional life, Jiva Bhuta, living entities, you conditioned living entities, you are entities here. So he's saying, Mana means mind. Shashta means six. Indriyani, senses. And Prakritisthani, in material nature, you are situated here. Karshati, you are struggling in this material nature with all these six senses and your mind. What are you doing here? Come to me. He is holding. You are my eternal fragmental parts. We have lost the connection with him. We have to come back, get connected to him again. How? So living entities, not only human beings, cats, dogs, even greater controllers of the material world, Brahma, the Devatas, the demigods, all are part and parcels of, and the sparks, look at the sparks over here. This is what we are. We are sparks, Mamai Vamsho, we are Amsha. So he's saying we are all eternal actually as souls. He says Karshati, we are struggling, we are grappling hard. So the conditioned soul is completely bound up here. You can see here in this picture, second picture, they're completely bound. How? They're shackled by iron chains, by false ego, And who is the chief agent over here? Who is the main person? Mind, mana. And mind is the chief agent. It is driving in this material existence. And when the mind is in the mode of goodness, activities are good. When the mind goes into the mode of passion, his activities are a little troublesome. And when in the mind of mode of ignorance, you can imagine, he is traveling in the lower species of life. So last verse, Krishna explained, right? Perfected souls who find him, they go to his abode, they come to him, right? And never return back to this world. So in this verse, he's saying, but those who are here also in the material world, they are also my Amsha. I am still their father. Aham bija prada pita. I am their father. They are my Ansha. They are my fragmental parts. He's asking us. He's holding his hand. He's saying, come. You are my Mamai Vamsho Jivaloke. You are my Ansha. Please come back to me. We have lost connection. Come back. Connect again. Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutramatishvaraha grihitvaitani sanyati vayurgandhani vashayat.
The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another.
As you can see in the picture, we are leaving our body and taking another body, right? So Lord Krishna is giving the example of the breeze, the wind. He's explaining the process of transmigration of a soul from one body to another. He is giving the example of the wind, breeze. He says, how, when there is a flower over there and there is a breeze blowing by, there's the fragments of the flower, it carries with it, right? Similarly, he says, upon death of this gross body, the soul, it also carries with it. What does it carry with it? The subtle and the causal bodies. What are these? Senses and the mind. The soul carries with it. So even when the material, this body dies, the soul continues to carry the mind. With the mind, what else are going? The experience of the past lifetimes, from its former body to the new body. The mind, the experience of the past lifetimes, everything is moving along. Lord Krishna is comparing it with a breeze. When the breeze blows and there is a flower over there, it blows along and takes the fragrance with it. Similarly, the soul carries with it the mind and the experience of the past lifetimes with it. Very beautifully explained, right? Kshotram chakshuspashanam cha rasanam granam evacha adhishthaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate.
The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, tongue, and nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Talking about the cycle of reincarnation, how we come back to life, right? If the living entity pollutes or it impures his consciousness with the qualities like of cats and dog, if we start behaving like that, animal qualities we get. Next life you get animal quality only, you'll get the cat and dog body and you'll enjoy that body. So consciousness is actually pure. It's like water, right? And if we mix water with a certain color, it changes. Similarly, consciousness is very pure. For spirit, soul is very pure. But consciousness, when it comes in association with this material modes of nature, like sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna, what happens? It gets contaminated, right? So therefore, if we are situated in Krishna consciousness, then we are in pure life. But if consciousness for some reason is adulterated, mixed with something, then in next life and with you will get similar kind, whatever thought you have had, that kind of corresponding body you will get. Not necessary that you may get human body again. You can get a body of a cat, dog, hog, demigod, or any other form out of 84 lakh species that they are, right? So the moment we hear about this, the lesson that we are getting over here, change is inevitable. You can't stop that, right? In this material world, we'll keep on taking bodies, we'll keep on dying, everything is happening. We have to think and understand, are we changing and rising, or are we changing and falling down? So we have to start thinking and start, asking us this question ourselves. Introspect today. See whether am I changing and going upwards, or am I changing and going down? Let's introspect today, and we'll discuss this tomorrow. Ukramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshushaha.
The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all of this.
One whose eyes are trained in knowledge. So jnana chakshusha, we had encountered this word previously also in previous lessons. Jnana chakshu means, jnana means knowledge, chakshu means eyes. If you have eyes of knowledge like wisdom. So without knowledge, we cannot understand, right, that living entity leaves his present body, what form of body is going to take in the next life, whether he is living in a particular, why is he living in a particular type of a body. Those who have developed spiritual knowledge, they know that the spirit soul is different from the body, and it is changing its body, and it's enjoying in different ways. Only those who are in knowledge will know. Ignorant will not know. That is why they have compared to with this newbie car mechanic. He is newcomer. He doesn't know much. So he's looking at everything, and he's a new mechanic trying to figure out how this car moves. He doesn't know. He's a newcomer. So he looks at the movement of the wheels. He goes to the accelerator, checks that also. Then he goes to the ignition switch. And then he says, all these parts are making the car move. But he missed a very important point here. What was that? Who starts the ignition and then moves the steering wheel? Somebody has to do, right? So unless a driver is operating the car, it will not move. Only someone who has acquired this spiritual knowledge will understand that it is the soul that gives life to the body. Without the soul, the body is lifeless. We know that. We can see that. Similar to this one, he doesn't know that unless and until a driver is sitting there, switching on the ignition, holding the steering wheel, the car will not move ahead. So soul is not there inside the body. Body will not move ahead. So consciousness is an indication of life or the presence of soul in the physical body. When the soul departs, consciousness ends. So only those who have acquired jnana chakshu, eyes of knowledge, they can understand this concept. Yatanto yoginaschainam pasyantyatmanyavasthitam yatanto pyakritatmanaha nainam pashyanta chetasaha.
The enduring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try.
Same thing like last, if we are not realized souls, you will not understand what is going on. So Lord Krishna is saying over here, only acquiring knowledge is not sufficient, but it should also be in a proper direction. What is the common mistake or common flaw in we humans? Our approach is very different, you know. If human approach is that we tend to use our material senses to understand the divine. We want to decide correctness, faults in knowledge with our intellect, which has only worldly and no experience of the divine. We don't have that kind of divine intellect to think about him also, to find out about him. But we will try to use our material senses to think about him. So we believe that things that cannot be perceived, cannot be seen by our mind and senses, it will not exist. I cannot say, so I don't think it exists. So our mind has that natural tendency, you know, to reject those things that do not fit into our frame of beliefs. Even the scientific and philosophical beliefs of our time also, if it doesn't fit into our system, we say it doesn't exist. That's it. Scientists are also human. They also willingly believe the facts which cannot be explained by current theories. They don't exist. So they also feel the same. So at present times, even this telepathy that we are talking about, many philosophers talk about telepathy also. They are looking upon telepathy as illusion. So Srila Prabhupada in many of his lectures, has mentioned such thinking as Dr. Frog philosopher. I was reading, listening to Srila Prabhupada's lecture, and he said, mentioned this about Dr. Frog philosopher. Thinking. This kind of thinking is called Dr. Frog philosopher. Kupa Manduka Nyaya means it's a frog. Kupa means frog. So well, Manduka Nyaya means it is in the well. The well, you know, the WELL well. Yeah. So it is like a frog which has been living within the walls of a well, kuwa. It is not aware of the world outside. It doesn't know there is a world outside also. So once it was told, you know what, ocean is very huge. The well frog said, it must be 5 times bigger than this well. So to this, he was told, no. Ocean is much, much bigger. It is gigantic. So the frog from the well did not believe. And he said, you are a liar. How can any place be so much bigger than my well? So the well frog had been living there for ages, like his whole life. It had not even seen anything beyond the walls of that well. That's why his mind could not comprehend the idea of a vast ocean or the world that existed out of the well. Similarly, scientists, materialistic people, we all human beings, people who cannot conceive the idea of eternal soul due to their limited experience. We are in a well, we don't understand, we lack spiritual knowledge. So we cannot perceive that there is an entire universe, entire creation, spiritual universe beyond our understanding of our intellect also. So those who have taken the path of spirituality, they make effort, they endeavor to purify their hearts. How? With humility, with faith, with devotion. Then the cleansed mind. Once the mind is very much clean, it naturally experiences the presence of the soul. Then the knowledge of the scripture becomes clear to them. So what is the best path to become cool-headed? You have to be cool-headed, submissive devotee of the Lord. That is the most important point, submissive. You have to surrender and try to hear about the Lord from a bona fide spiritual master, and then serve the Lord in his love, a transcendental loving service, right? So so he has made us understand all this. So Krishna will tell about how to, the method of perceiving the existence of God. Gama vishyata bhutani dharayam yaha mojasa pushnami chaushadi sarvaha somo bhutva rasatmakaha.
I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
See, in this verse also Krishna is telling he created the universe. Gama is what? Planets. And Ojasa, Gama Vishacha Bhutani Dharayam Aham Ojasa. Ojasa is energy. By his energy, he has created this universe, these planets. We sometimes wonder, right, that how come the ocean water is so salty? God could have made the oceans full of fresh water, but it would have become a breeding ground for diseases. Due to high salt content in the ocean, the many diseases, disease-causing organisms, microorganisms, they cannot survive in it. That is how they were protecting the life. Similarly, there are several such amazing phenomena that Krishna has done. That is how he has made this whole earth inhabitable to variety of species, both movable, non-living, living, everything. So one of the scientists, he was mentioning one day that if physical properties of our universe was any different from what it is right now, it would be impossible to live on this earth. So Lord Krishna also says, the moonlight gets its nourishing properties from Krishna. And it is the nectar of the moonlight that nourishes the entire plant life, fruits, vegetable, grains, herbs. Srila Prabhupada also explains in his purport, human society is working. It's living comfortably. It is enjoying, eating nicely. It's enjoying the food. Why? Because of Supreme Lord. Otherwise, mankind could not have survived. The word you see here rasatmakaha. It means everything becomes palatable, everything becomes delicious because of the influence of the moon. And where does the moon get the energy from? Krishna. So that is how Krishna explained in this verse. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritah Pranapana Samayuktaha Atam Annam Chaturvidham.
I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff.
So now Lord Krishna is also telling that he is the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities. Can you imagine? See, God exists inside all living beings, we know, right? As Vaishvanaro. Vaishvanaro, he is saying. What is Vaishvanaro? Means fire of digestion, which is ignited. How is it ignited inside? By the power of God. The scientific community will say there are organs in the digestive system, you know. We have so many. We have stomach, we have liver, we have pancreas, we have gallbladder. They all secrete digestive juices. And that is how it enables the digestion of food in living beings. Now, Krishna is saying, I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities. So this is a revelation now from in Bhagavad Gita, because the revelation by God suggests that whatever scientists are saying or medical people are saying, it's the approach is quite naive. It's very childish. According to Bhagavad Gita, according to Krishna, it is God's energy which fires up the digestive process in the living beings. Chaturvidham. Chaturvidham means what? 4 types. And annam means food. Pacham means digest. Annam is food. And chaturvidham is 4. The food are also categorized in 4 ways. One is like bhoje, which we normally eat, chapati, rice, whatever we chew. The bhoje is like which we chew. Peya. Peya is what? Which we drink, like milk and water and whatever we swallow, kind of. And then koshya. Koshya means which are sucked, like sugarcane. Something we suck. And then leya, which is like lick. Like we lick like honey, we kind of lick it. So we have understood so far, after reading so many verses, that Lord Krishna is the one who is supporting every aspect of life. He is the maintainer. With his energy, he is making this whole earth habitable. He is nourishing the vegetation. He is even igniting the gastric fire to digest our food, right? So let's see next shloka and the meaning of this one. Maintainer of universe and body. Aditya Gatam Tejo is what? Splendor of the sun. Gama Vishacha Bhutani means he's maintaining the planets. What all he is doing, you can see. Unsami Chausadhi Sarva. He's supplying the juice of life to all vegetables. Vaishvanara is the fire of digestion. Pranapana Samayukta Pacham Annam. He digests foodstuff by outgoing and incoming air. He's doing so many, he's maintaining so much. And even now, if we don't understand what he is doing, I don't know what to say. Awareness that everything we are doing, we are dependent on Krishna. The moment we realize this, we get some kind of a sense of gratitude and we feel humbled. We have that humility coming. Nothing is ours. And look at him. He's doing so much for us. That brings a lot of gratitude in us. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha mattasmritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaishta sarvairahameva vedyo vedanta krit veda videva chaham.
I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas am I to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of Vedas. Everything he is there. He is seated in everyone's heart. You can see in this picture. This is our soul, and this is the super soul. We have a soul and next to it is super soul. So we have soul and super soul in everyone. So in this verse also, Lord Krishna is saying he is in our hearts. And he goes on to add that he has given us this amazing ability of memory and knowledge, right? I'm seated in everyone's heart and from me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. So he's given us memory and he's given us knowledge. While the mind and the intellect, they are like software. We have software and hardware, right? So that those are like software. And the brain, the whole thing, brain is like a hardware. So this mechanism of brain is way beyond our understanding also, right? There's so much advancement in technology going on. And there are many areas where scientific community are there, but still struggling. There is advancement, but they're still struggling. Like surgeons, they're performing the brain surgery also, but they are not able to understand many of its functions as such, even though they are doing it. And another example is the face technology. When we look at the mobile phone, it opens, right? This is a new technology that has come. And it is so remarkable that we as human beings, we can easily remember somebody we have not met for, like, say, 25 years, 30 years, and that person comes in front of us and we can recognize, even though the face has changed. We have met after several years. There will be many changes in his looks. He has grown older, but we still recognize what kind of memory God has given us. It's so remarkable. And whereas there are present day computers, sometimes they don't. I put my mobile phone in front of me. Sometimes it doesn't recognize my face also, even though it's not changed right now immediately. But sometimes it recognizes, sometimes it's just a thing, technology. But our technology in the brain, oh my God, it's remarkable. There's so many mysteries of human brain, which God has created. So Lord Krishna is saying he has given us power to forget the past. He said, I'm seated in everyone's heart and from me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. Smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So he is telling, he has made us, given us the power to forget the past. How? Similar to unwanted records that we delete it from the computer. We don't need something, we delete it from the computer, right? So living beings, we all living entities also, we wipe off unwanted memories. We don't want to keep it. Else what will happen if we start keeping these memories? If Krishna allows us to keep all the memories, information overloaded. So very difficult, right? So other than this internal knowledge that we carry, there is another source of knowledge. Where do we get the knowledge from? Externally, from scriptures, right? Internally, God has given us. He has given us the knowledge. He has given us the memory. He has given us forgetfulness. But there is outside knowledge which is coming from scriptures. So in this verse, Krishna is saying he is the creator. He is the knower. He is the writer of Vedas, right? Lord Krishna is specifically mentioning that he is the compiler of Vedanta. He is the author of Vedanta. That is why he is Vedanta Krit. Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham, he said, right? Here in this last line. Sarvasya chaham vidhi sannivishtaha matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaishta sarvairahameva vedyo Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham. So Vedanta Krit, he knows the Veda, he's compiled the Veda, he is the author of Veda. And Veda Vid, then Veda Vid means he knows Vedas. So Vedanta Krit and Veda Vid. He is the compiler and author of Vedanta, and he knows the Vedas. So this is what Krishna is saying. So Lord Krishna is saying that though Vedas tell us a lot about both like material and spiritual world, etc., what is the final objective of all the knowledge that we are collecting? Whatever knowledge we collect from Bhagavad Gita, scriptures, whatever he has given us, everything is for one goal. And the objective is to know him. All the purpose of all the rituals, the ceremonies that we do, right? We do so many ceremonies every time. Every time we do, it is just to lure people to come back from the material world towards the spirituality. It is just an intermediate step, you can say. It's not the ultimate, but the intermediate. At least they're coming this side. They're detaching themselves for a while, at least, from that materialistic mindset that they have. And then slowly, while if they continue to practice, slowly detachment will grow and attachment towards God will increase. So here, after all this, what we are learning from here is forgetfulness is also grace of God. It saves us from so many miseries. Imagine if you had memories of past lives also where you had gone through horrible conditions and you are living every day with those memories. What a miserable life will we be leading, right? So it is His grace that He has saved us from so many miseries. And another thing is, like, when we do something for others, we want to be praised. And when others do something for us, we think it is their duty. They should be doing it for me. But what about Lord Krishna? He is doing everything. And he doesn't want anything from us. He is having full six opulences. He's full of six opulences. He's got everything in spiritual abode. Doesn't need anything from us. But he's giving us so much. What is that love called? What is that love called? Anybody you can type in the chat box. What is that love called? Anyone? When you have nothing, no expectation. Yeah, true love, unconditional. Viraj Prabhuji, excellent. Unconditional love. Krishna doesn't have any conditions over here. He just says, come to me. This is your home. Why are you not coming? That's it. So he's going to talk about two classes of people now. Dvavimau purushau loke sharashchakshara evacha sharas sarvani bhutani utastokshara uchyate.
There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every entity is infallible.
So he's saying two classes of people. Krishna is saying there are two. One is kshara, kshara, akshara. Kshara means fallible. Fallible means what? Perishable, finish. Akshara, infallible, imperishable, not gone. So whoever is this in this material world will be die, right? Perishable, will be gone. And those who are liberated, those who have gone to spiritual realm, they are imperishable, right? They won't die. They'll live forever. We have to go through the cycle of birth and death. Actually, soul is pure. Actually, soul is divine. Actually, soul is eternal. But in this material realm, what happens? We know, we have read this before also, right? That Maya binds this individual soul to this body. And from tiniest insect to the demigod, all the living entities are embodied. They are tied up in this material world. And they are kshara. Kshara means perishable. They're gone. They have to go through the repetitive cycle of birth and death of their material body, right? That's what is fallible. They independently want to enjoy, and they always remain in the material world because they don't understand, they don't have that proper knowledge. Uttama purushastvanyah paramatmetyudahritaha yolo katrayama vishya vibhartyapya ishvaraha.
Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Lord Himself, who has entered into these worlds and is maintaining them.
So now next one is talking about God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Paramatma, Super Soul. Super Soul is there. There is an individual soul which is very, very tiny, confined to the material body. It resides, right? Supreme Soul is present inside every living entity, as we have discussed many times. He is the constant companion of the individual soul in every life. Like, for example, say in a particular birth, a soul has got a dog's body. The Supreme Soul will continue to be inside, and it will remain within the dog's body, and it will give results based on soul's past karmas. It will keep noting down, keep giving you marks based on that. So that is why you can sometimes you see, I don't know whether you have noticed or not, dogs have different destinies. Some dogs are born on the street. They live a famished life, miserable life, and they die in misery. They come under the cars also, right? And some of them, they get to live so comfortably. Palatial palaces also, they are living in lavish mansions. They have dog food, they have dog house, and they sleep next to the owner on satin bed sheets, beautiful bed sheets. They are living a very luxurious life, dainty life. So it's the difference in destiny also. It is due to the stockpile of karmas from this previous births. The supreme soul that is going along with the individual soul, right? In its various births, in different species, it keeps granting results based on its karma. You have done better karma, but for some reason you have to go to the into a dog's body, you will go. But because of some good karma that you had done, you will still be in a palace. You will be a king's dog. So something like that. So infallible is like you want to be with Krishna always and never leave spiritual world. So those are infallible. Yasmat ksharamati toham aksharaadapi chottamaha atosmi loke vede cha pratitah purushottamaha.
Because I am transcendental, beyond the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person.
So now Lord Krishna is calling him Purushottama. Purush Uttam. This chapter is Purushottama Yoga, right? So here he is saying Purushottama. So who is Purushottama? Is the divine supreme personality, right? He transcends over the material world, which includes the Kshara and Akshara. Kshara means fallible, which is perishable. And Akshara means which will never perish. It will remain spiritual, right? So he's above all that. Srila Prabhupada, he explains in his purport, it is incorrect to think of Supreme Lord and the living entities as being on the same level or equal in all respects. No, it will be very wrong to think like that. We can never compare ourselves with Krishna. There is always the question of superiority and inferiority between our personalities. You know, he is Uttama. No one can surpass the supreme personality of Godhead. He is above everything. He is the main creator, maintainer, and destroyer of everything. That's the essence that we are learning about. And the lesson that we are learning here is, even though we are fallible, we are there, we are perishable, we'll die, we can still achieve success. How? You can see in the picture. You can go walk towards Krishna. And who is he? He's supremely perfect person with all 6 opulences. So the moment you follow that path of success towards Krishna, what else will you get other than success? So even though we are fallible, we can still achieve all success just by following supremely perfect person, Shri Krishna or Lord Krishna, who is supreme personality of Godhead. So here no one can surpass supreme personality of Godhead Krishna, even neither the conditioned souls nor the liberated. Here they are all devatas and all also. They are also there. Is therefore greatest of personalities. All devatas come, they offer their respects and obeisances to Krishna, supreme personality of Godhead. Even Lord Shiva, he is the epitome of devotion to Vishnu. He is the topmost Vaishnava. Shiva is Lord Krishna's greatest devotee. And Krishna's devotees, they honor Lord Shiva like anything for his qualities, for his exalted status in the hierarchy of beings. He is a top Vaishnava there. In Brahma Samhita also, if we read the purport, it is written, Govinda, he manifests himself as Guna Avatara in form of Shambhu. So he comes as Shambhu also. He is part of that also. So he is the greatest devotee and he is the greatest Vaishnava. Let me try to read this shloka from Brahma Samhita. Hiram yatha dadi vikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahi tatah prithak asti hetoh yashambhutam api tatha samupaiti karyat govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, Alpa Mataji.
Ma'am, continue, please.
But yet the effect curd is neither same as nor different from its cause, milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is the transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. Shambhu comes as the performance of destruction. Brahma keeps, he's in all the Brahma Samhita shlokas, he's praising Lord Govinda. He says, Lord Govinda is utmost having all celebrated top qualities. He manifests himself in a Guna Avatara as Shambhu. Yo mamevam sammudhaha janati purushottamam sasarva vida bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata.
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is to be understood as the knower of everything, and he therefore engages himself in full devotional service, O son of Bharata.
So as per Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 3 ways to realize God. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Shabdete. So the knowers of truth, they have stated that there is only one supreme entity that manifests in 3 ways, right, in the world: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. This does not mean that there are 3 different entities living here. No, God is one. But these forms are only his manifestations. As water, it exists in nature as ice, it exists in nature as water, steam. They have different physical properties, but the form of the same substance. Likewise, God also exists in 3 forms: Brahman, the formless, 400 form, Paramatma, who resides in our heart as super soul, and 200 Sham Sundar form of Bhagavan. So the followers of Jnana, they worship God as Brahman. Ashtanga Yoga, they seek God as Paramatma, Supreme Soul, who resides in the heart of all living creatures, right? So Lord Krishna says those who know him as Supreme Divine Personality and worship him as Bhagavan truly have complete knowledge about him, of him, right? I had explained to you about that bus and the headlights, train headlights. So similarly, those who see God as Bhagavan, Supreme Divine Personality of Godhead, they truly acquire complete knowledge of him. Why? Because Bhagavan is more personal, and it can be considered to be the sweetest among all the forms. We can relate to him more. So God manifests as person, and he performs various leelas also, pastimes, right? So devotees of Bhakti Yoga, they love this form, and they want to immerse themselves in that devotional and loving bliss, right? As explained we did in chapter 12 also. Maya Veshamano Yemam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetaha Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. Supreme Personality said, those who will fix their mind upon me, always engaged in worshipping me with great faith, I will consider them to be my greatest devotees. He is telling us, so he is greatest of all. Iti guhyatamam shastram idamuktam maya nagha etat buddhva buddhiman syat kritakrityascha bharata.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
So to conclude this chapter, Krishna is using the word iti, means these. So this is to imply that Arjuna, here I have given you the gist of all the hidden languages, knowledge, of the Vedic scriptures. And from the description of this world, differentiation between the matter, the spirit, realization of the absolute truth about oneself, about Supreme Divine Personality, God. Now, Lord Krishna is assuring Arjuna that whoever will adopt this knowledge, he will become enlightened. He will become very wise. Their deeds, their endeavors will definitely become fruitful, and it will take them towards the ultimate goal. What is our ultimate goal? It's Krishna consciousness or God realization. So devotional service is the process of spiritual understanding. The more we keep doing, the more understanding we will get. So wherever devotional service exists, material contamination cannot coexist. We are doing with purity of heart. So material contamination won't exist over there at that time. So the lesson we are learning here is the most confidential understanding of the Vedas is, what do we understand from the Vedas? Lord Krishna is the Supreme Being. He is definitely the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worshipable. If we can always remember this, then our life would be perfect. That's what ends the chapter 15. It's knowing Krishna means knowing everything. So chapter 15, what did we learn? That we want to be in this temporary world or permanent. Temporary is like a hotel, and permanent, we have to go back to Godhead. So material world is temporary, spiritual world is our home. One who understands this is knower of Vedas. And then spiritual world or material world. So what are the characteristics of spiritual world? Natat bhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha. It's illumined. It's not illumined by sun or moon. It is having its own effulgence there, right? And no need for any electricity. Whoever goes there never returns back. What are the characteristics of material world? Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutramati ishvaraha means what? He's carrying from one life to one body to another body is going on. And then our lost connection with Krishna. Krishna says, Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhutas sanatanaha. So he's saying that. Then we moved on to Krishna, who is the maintainer. So Krishna is the maintainer of all the worlds, right? And also our mind, body, and soul. So we must definitely look into this, because he is the maintainer of a mind or of a body and the soul. So the next one is essence. Essence is Krishna is beyond fallible and infallible, right? And fallible living entities, they are independently want to enjoy and they remain in material world. Infallible living entities, they want to be with Krishna, they never leave the spiritual world, right? So we have come to end of this chapter. Vancha kalpata rupashya kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you. Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.